All right, so today's class is going to be the core and more, mainly mat activities, working on the glutes, the hips, and of course the abdominal muscles. No equipment is needed. A soft surface on the floor, cushion for the tailbone and the knees, and that's it. We're about ready to go. Let's go ahead and just start by bringing those feet hips distance apart, taking a big inhale in a big circle all the way up. Hands are going to go on those hips, and then the hips go back, and one vertebra at a time, nice and slow. We're going to tuck round and roll our way back up to standing. Okay? We'll roll out the shoulders at the top, and we'll do that just one more time, just to kind of loosen up that spine before we move on. A nice slow tuck round and roll your way up. Excellent. Let's take the feet and step them wider apart. So the feet are wider than the hips distance, wider than the shoulders, and we're turning the toes out just slightly. We're going to draw the navel in, maybe tuck the tail just a little bit, and take both arms wide and high. Big inhale, and on the exhale, let's bring those elbows down towards the thighs and pause here. Keeping our belly button and our core tight. That's the key to saving the back. And then let's glance down at our knees. Okay, we want our knees pretty much over those ankles, not past the toes. Okay, so we may need to adjust our stance to make sure that the knees aren't caving in or going way out past the toes. We want to feel glutes, inner thigh. Okay, all right, big inhale. Let's press up to the top. Exhale, let's bring it down, open those hips. Good, we're just going to continue to flow. Inhaling up, lengthening and straightening. Exhaling as we sit back down and allow those hips to open. Good. We'll take two more like this, and then we're going to keep the legs, change the arms. On the exhale, let the arms float forward, hip hinge, and then circle and lift. Exhale, hip hinge, big swoop of the arm, lift, good. So let that breath really go, big exhale. We'll take three more as we start to generate some heat in the body. Next one will be last one. We'll come back to center. Hands are going to go on those hips. We're going to straighten out the feet so that the toes point forward, heels back. We're going to sit our hips back into a nice big side lunge stretch, feeling the length of the inner thigh. And again, the knee is over the ankle. Inhale, straighten both legs. Exhale, roll those hips out the other side. Good. Inhale, center. Exhale, switch. Inhale, center. Exhale, switch. We're going to do one more on each side. Okay? Coming back to center, both legs straight, navel drawn in, just the hip hinge. Reaching that chest forward, the top of the head forward, we feel the hamstrings. Let's lock those abdominals, push into the feet, flex the push, come all the way to top. Good, hip hinge. Exhale, draw the navel in, stand tall. We're going to take three more just like this, loosening up the back of the legs. Kind of a bow, if you will, a straight bow. We'll take one more. Fantastic. Arms go wide, coming into our windmill. Right arm, left leg. Exhale, hip hinge, and back to the center switch. One more each side on these windmills. Last one here. We're going to release. Hands are going to come in. We're going to turn those heels in and the toes and heels and toes to bring those legs back to center or hips distance. We're going to start with a curtsy lunge, okay? So we're going to generate some heat. belly up and in. Let's take that right leg, step it behind and to the side, okay, into a curtsy lunge. So we should feel some glute, our weight sitting back here distributed between both legs. Then we step off to center. Let's stay with that right leg. We'll step back into center. Core stays tight, and we're driving that left heel into the floor. Okay. If you want to get a little fancy, you can take that right leg and take it out to the side as you come back to center. But last one, through center, we're just going to switch sides. Brace, left leg steps back to the side into our first curtsy, push off for center. Again, you can add that leg out to the side. If you want to get even extra fancy, you can add arms. Good, last few. Last. Good, let's come back to our center. We're gonna come down to the mat. So hopefully that elevated the heart a little bit. We're gonna come down into all fours, okay? All fours. Again, if you need a little extra cushion for the knee, feel free. Knees are going directly underneath our hips. Hands underneath the elbows, the shoulders, and they're shoulder width apart. We draw this navel up and into the spine, really tight, okay, really tight. We're going to extend our right leg, pushing through that heel. Left arm, reaching out in front of us, okay? Option to keep the left arm down. We're going to release. We're going to switch sides. Good, extend, tuck in, extend, bring it in. Good. The core stays tight and the back long and flat throughout the movement. Okay? Good. Pushing through the heel, reach through the fingers. Good. Stability here. One more each side. Good, coming through the center. A little reset if we need to. Making sure those shoulder blades are back and down. We're gonna take our left knee out to the side in a fire hydrant. So the foot is flexed and we're lifting the knee out to the side. Now what we don't wanna do is lean, okay? We wanna keep our hips pointed down. Just a lift and a lower. It's slow and controlled. So that nice long back remaining. Try not to let those hips shift. Good. As we start to feel the glutes. Good. One more this side, then we're going to switch legs. We'll set it up, stabilize, out to the side, all the way in. Okay, keep going. You'll notice one side is probably a little tighter or doesn't lift quite as high as the other one, and that's A-okay. Last two. Last one for now. Good, let's give those wrists a break by coming onto our bottoms and then rolling all the way down onto our back. We're gonna do a cross knee lift. So we're gonna cross our right ankle over that left thigh. Okay, kind of like when we do our four square stretch. Okay, but we're going to straighten out that left leg. We're going to draw that low back down to the mat. Allow the head to rest on the floor, on the mat. Arms out to the side. Option underneath the hips. You give a little bit of support for the back. Keeping that navel tight. We're going to work the core. We're going to allow that left leg to lower. A few inches from the floor. Exhale, pull that leg back up. Okay? So we're lifting and lowering the left leg with our right ankle crossed over the left leg, providing some extra resistance. If we have back challenges to make this a little less difficult, you can do the same lifting and lowering with the left leg, but put the right foot on the floor with the knee bent instead of having it crossed over the thigh. Good. It's an inhale as the leg lowers. Exhale as you flex the navel to bring the leg up. One more here. So we're going to release. We're going to switch. Left ankle, right thigh. Right leg straightened, foot flex. Drawn way down to the mat. On the inhale, we lower the leg. Exhale, pull it up. Good. Two more. Last one. Good. We're going to uncross. We're going to give those knees a hug and either rolling to the side or front to back. We're coming up to seated. All right. Let's take the hands behind us and point the fingertips towards our hips. We're going to squeeze those shoulder blades back and down to help open up the chest. Okay? We're going to cross our left ankle over our right leg. So extend your right leg a little bit. Cross the left ankle over it. Okay? And then go ahead and bring that right heel back a little closer to the bun. Okay? So you look like you're in that four square stretch. All right. So we're going to come into a tabletop. So we're going to lift ourselves up, lift our hips. Now when you come up, your shoulder should be over your wrist and your knee should be over your ankle. If not, when you sit, make the adjustment, okay? Let's go. Let's keep those shoulder blades back and down. Good. Lift and lower. Nice straight arms. Really using the heel on that right foot. The glutes to the thighs. Coming all the way to the top. Opening up the hips. A little easier on the wrist would be making fists and using your hands as fists on the mat instead of an open palm. Next one's last one. We'll release. Go ahead, lift the wrist to give them a quick stretch so that the top of your hands push down into the mat. While you're stretching the wrist, you can cross the other leg to extend the left one a little bit. Cross the right one over. Fingertips point towards the hips. Move that left leg a little bit back, closer towards the body. Squeeze those shoulder blades together, then down to lengthen the neck. Brace the core, and when you're ready, press into that left heel to lift it up into your tabletop. Check your form, and then start lifting and lowering. Two more. Next one is the last one. We'll lower those hips, uncross the legs, so flip the wrists, give them a nice little stretch. Perfect. All right, down we go for a hanging knee raise. So we're on our back, our ankles are together, our knees are together, and our knees are bent in a 90-degree like we're in a chair. Arms either out to the side or a little more support underneath the hips. Low back presses firm into the mat and we hold it there. Inhaling, allowing the legs to lower like they're dead weight. Exhaling, pulling tight into the belly to get those legs to lift. The only thing we want to make sure of is that we're not bending and straightening the legs. We're working this from the hips and the core. If you wanted to make it more challenging, you could do this with straight legs. Just be mindful not to arch the back. So we have time for about 2 more. Last one, nice and slow. Good, we'll grab those knees, give them a hug. And then again, either going to a roll on the side or a front to back roll up. We're coming up to seated. We're gonna come into a boat or a rowing of the boat. Modified here is to have some amount of foot on the floor to stabilize you. If you want to make it more challenging, feet can be elevated, okay? Either way, the back is long and not rounded. We're really lifting the chest, pulling up and in. We can hold the thighs, especially to start for our boat, okay? And we can lift those feet off. That would be fantastic. Maybe you keep one down and that's okay. You can alternate. If you can, holding both legs up. Maybe you can release one arm. Maybe you can release both, keeping the chest lifted. If you can straighten your legs, that's great too. If you'd like to row your boat, you can hip hinge, lean back, really activate the core, and then pull up, okay? If that gives you any trouble in your back, just continue to hold the boat. We've got about 10 seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug the knees. Wonderful. Let's come up to standing. One last time to get that heart rate up. We're going to work into our curtsy lunge. Okay? Taking the set back over from the top. We'll start with soft knees, hips back. Right leg comes out into that curtsy, behind, push off, and into center. Options, lifting the leg. Another option, lifting the arm. Okay? Your choice. Either way, goal here are the glutes by pushing off into that left heel. And because it's such a big movement, bringing the heart rate up to burn some calories. Next one is last one. Good, we'll release. Maybe a little shoulder roll, and then we'll set up for the other side. Left leg, back and behind. Find the glute. Press up. There we go. Option to add leg, arms, or both. Good, almost there. Last two. Last one. Good. Little shoulder roll. We're going to work our way down to the mat to come into that quadruped or all fours. And again, if we have wrist issues, planting the knuckles with the thumb as an anchor is an alternative, okay? Belly button tight, hips over the knees. This time, we're going to extend that right leg out behind us. We're going to flex the glutes. We're going to point, pull into the belly, and we're going to lift and lower. So the toe taps the floor, squeeze the tush, lift. Everything else is staying stable. Everything else is staying stable. Really focused on that tush. You could even come down onto your elbows here if you wish. Next time your leg is up, hold it up and take some little pulses. We're trying to tap that heel towards the ceiling by flexing the hamstring and glute. We'll take 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knee under the body. We'll sit the hips back towards the heels for a quick stretch. Maybe roll out the wrists as well. Then we'll shift ourselves back into position for all fours. Draw the navel in, set the shoulders. Left leg will extend out behind. We'll get really long. Toes tap the floor, and then squeezing the derriere to get that leg to lift. Good. Focusing on the tightness of the abdomen so that the back does not arch. Next time the leg is up, let's find those little pulses. Dig deep. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knee bends underneath the body. We take a little seat. Roll out those wrists. Let's turn ourselves over. We're going to come in to the supine cross knee lift. So we're going to roll ourselves all the way down. We're going to cross that right ankle over the left thigh. Extend that left leg, heel towards the ceiling. Arms to the side or underneath our hips. When the back is secure, we'll slowly start the inhale, the leg lowering. Exhale, drawing into the navel to get it to lift. Using that bent leg, add some additional weight. If you'd like to get rid of that extra weight, just put the right foot on the floor with the knee bent and use the leg for support instead. We're taking 2 more with this side, with this leg. Last one, nice and slow. Really dig in there deep. We'll release, uncross, switching, crossing the left leg over the right, drawing the tailbone into the mat. On an inhale, lowering. On an exhale, flexing those abdominal muscles so the head and neck will relax. Two more, my friends. 2 more. Really good ones. Big and deep. Last one. Good. We'll release. We're going to give knees a hug. Good. Rolling up or rolling to the side. Either way, let's turn ourselves over for the fire hydrant. We'll align into all fours, stacking shoulders over the wrists, drawing the navel in, right leg, flex foot, opens the knee to the side, then controls it on the way in. Let's challenge me in keeping those hips level without turning the body to the side. One more. Good. We can shake the wrist out if you want. Pull in, re-brace, reset. Coming into the other leg, left side. A lift and a lower. One more. Good. Let's release. Roll out those wrists. We're going to turn ourselves over and come into that cross knee with tabletop. Okay, cross knee with tabletop. So we'll take fingertips pointed toward the hips, about a few inches away, but still shoulder width apart. We open the chest, lengthen the neck, draw the navel in, crossing one ankle over the other side. Option would be both feet on the floor with the knees bent. We press up into that left heel, extending into our tabletop, and then slowly lower. Good. Let's go ahead and go. Last one. We're going to uncross. Let's turn those hands over so palms face up to give the wrists a stretch. While we do that, we set up for the other leg, left leg crossing over the right. We reset the hands, open the chest, draw the shoulder blades back. Scoot that right foot back a little bit more to make sure the foot ends up under the knee as you lift. Last two. Last one. Good. We'll release. Let's uncross the legs. Sitting forward, we'll take some big wrist circles in one direction and then in the other direction. Good. We're going to come into our boat or rowing boat if we prefer, finding our sit bones, finding balance, lifting the chest, opening it, lengthening our spine. Maybe one foot stays on the mat. Keeping those abdominals braced. We attempt to release one arm, maybe both. Maybe we extend the legs. And maybe we do that little bit of rowing where we extend through the legs, long back, exhale, pull in. So shouldn't feel any tension in the back. Should feel this all in the core. Ten seconds. 5, 1. Let's hug those knees in. Give them a nice big hug. Deep breath. And we're going to roll down to our hanging knee raise. Okay? We'll roll ourselves down, nice big C curve. Head comes all the way down to the mat and rest. Arms either by the side or under the hip. Let's kick up the legs, ankles together, knees together. Draw that tailbone into the mat. On an inhale, allowing the weight of the legs to let them lower towards the floor. Exhale, draw in to lift them. We'll take 2 more. Really digging in deep, moving slow. Find that challenge. And then go ahead, give those knees a hug. Good. We're gonna roll ourselves over to the side. We're gonna come into a side plank. We're starting our second set, side plank with an optional leg lift, okay? An option here is to be on your forearm and knee for your side plank, or you can come into a fully extended side plank. So if you're staying on your forearm and knee, at your elbow, chest is open. Try not to let the body sink or fall forward. Your knee, okay, straight out back from the hip. Top leg would extend, so we want to feel long through the torso. Holding up and in, we would come into that side plank, okay? So here's our starting position for that kneeling side plank on the forearm. The option here is to add the leg lift, okay? So really working the outside of the hip and glute. If you prefer, come into a full side plank, both legs straight, one on top of the other, and work your leg lift from there. Don't let that rib cage sink. Keep it pulled up. The last couple here. Last one. Good. We'll release. We're going to lower the hip. We'll swing the legs around front and then come into the other side. We'll set up either kneeling or full on that side plank. On in, chest open, shoulders back. Option to lift and lower the leg. You could also just hold the plank, the side plank. Take one more good one. Then we'll allow those hips to lower. We're going to come into a bridge. We're just going to flip right over onto our back. You can take that C curve roll all the way down, bringing feet fairly close to the hips, probably about 4 inches or so away from the hip and buttock. The goal here in the bridge, okay, besides pushing into the heels to challenge the tush, is to not let the knees spread apart or come together, okay? So we want to keep that little space that we have right now between the knees all the way through the bridge. Arms can go by our side, okay? On an exhale, let's push into those heels and drive our hips up towards the ceiling. We pause there and then we lower. We'll repeat as we exhale. We drive into the heels, pause, and then lower. If you'd like, you can keep the toes lifted so that you're actually on the heels as you come through the movement. The next time up, let's hold those hips up towards the ceiling and do little pulses. So, little quick movements where we're trying to drive those hips by squeezing the buttocks and pushing into the heel to the ceiling. Just a teeny bit more. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. 5, 4, last one. And then one vertebra at a time, slowly roll it down. We'll give those knees a big hug. Good. We're going to roll over to the side. Side plank. Again, 2 options, kneeling side plank, or more challenging would be full. Watching the shoulder and the neck so that we don't fall in. We keep that rib and rib cage lifted. We work our way into our side plank. Option here to just continue to hold the side plank. Let's raise up that top arm. On an exhale, here's a second option, pulling the knee and the elbow in towards one another, and then extending, okay? So exhale, pull in, inhale, extend. Good. Bottom shoulder, the hand that's on the mat is stable and not moving. Outside of our abs, our obliques. So 10 seconds. Good, last one. We're going to release. Let's shoot those legs out front. Switch or roll over to the other side. Kneeling or full, lifted. Hips in line with the wrist. We work our way into the side plank first. Feel long and flat through the back. Extending the arm, maybe holding here or on your exhale. Knee and elbow. Inhale, extend. That's it.
I don't know if what we had was just a waste of time. Waste of time. You got 70,000 friends, but I am one of them.
Last 2. Last one. Good. We'll release. We're going to lie down all the way in our stomach. Okay, so we're going to roll over on our belly, looking for a hip extension. You can stack your hands one over the other so that your forehead can rest on your hands. Pelvic floor, up and in. Okay, think up and in like tight jeans. Let's extend the legs fully. Make them as long as we can. Good. All right, alternating. Okay, alternating. Hip bones stay down and planted into the mat. Our abdominals are completely locked. One leg lifts, but the focus is on reaching through that leg. Then we slowly lower. We're going to switch sides. So alternate one side and the other. So we're extending the hip, the front of that hip. That's what we're really looking for. So we got to take length and then lift. Great way to get that without putting the back at risk. Good. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Everything rests. Let's take the hands. We're going to move the hands on either side of the chest. Pull the elbows in. Pull the elbows down towards the feet to lengthen the neck and spine. Lock the belly. Let's push up into a kneeling plank. Then into an extended child pose. Full inhale, exhale here. Wonderful. Let's come back towards the center and turn ourselves over. Let's take it on our side here. So we're going to do the clams, okay, clam shells. For this one, you won't have to be on your forearm or your shoulder. You'll lie all the way down, okay? You'll lie all the way down. We want, however, our hip bones stacked on one another. So we don't want to roll back and have my top hip bone back here and my bottom one out in front of it. I want to stack those hip bones over one another, okay? Then bring the knees forward at about a 90 degrees straight out from the hip. Feet are stacked, knees are stacked, okay? Release that upper body all the way down onto the mat. So you have lots of length through the spine. You don't feel compressed anywhere. Drawing the navel in, working that hip and glute. The toes are going to stay together, but the top knee lifts, okay? So it's a lifting and lowering, an opening and closing of that top leg. You can even take your top hand, put it right on your hip, your tush. That's what you should feel moving, okay? A little quake even maybe through the core and into that hip. What we don't want is to roll open, okay? The torso shouldn't be moving at all. If you find this too easy, a level up would be to elevate the bottom leg slightly. And your choice. Good. That little pause when it's open. Last one here. Good. We'll release. We'll release the legs all the way down. Let's take the hand, that top hand out in front of us. We're going to do one tricep push-up to push our body up. So we'll press that open palm in, side lean all the way up, bringing the legs around front, shifting so that we can come into clams on the other side. Hip over hip alignment, knees straight out and stacked, feet stacked. We release that torso all the way down towards the mat, support the head, draw in through the belly, elevated or on the floor, opening those knees using hip and glute, maybe even putting the hand back there to remind us to not roll back. Option, of course, if you would like, to elevate the bottom leg. Good, two more. Last one. Good. We're going to release both of those legs all the way down. Draw up and in through the navel. We're going to do a side lying bicycle. We're going to stay right here. We're going to take that top leg, flex foot, that toes, pull back to the shin, brace core. We're going to bring the knee in towards the chest, straighten the leg to push the heel straight out in front of you. Your leg is at hip height. And then drawing a big circle like a big pedal. The heel ends up behind you without you rolling back. So you've opened up your hip flexor again. Then the knee pulls into the chest. You're drawing a big circle with your heel while keeping your torso completely stable and the leg at hip height. Really focus on that reach back without arching. Good, a nice side lying bicycle. We'll take one more with the pedal this direction. Next time the foot comes to the buns, press that heel behind you with the bent knee, opening the hip flexor. Straighten the leg, point the toe, bring the leg around front. Heel pushes behind. Straighten. Yes. Good. Keep those abs tight so you don't roll. Last 3, 2, and 1. Good, we'll allow that leg to rest. Nicely done. Let's go ahead, take that top arm, press it into the mat, lift that torso up, and then shift to the other side. We've got to do our bicycles over here. Again, hip stack. Knee over knee, long torso, head resting. We brace, Flex foot, knee comes into the chest. Extend, straighten. Draw that straight leg behind, opening the hip flexor. Then bend the knee to complete that circle. Good. Stability through the core. Last one this direction. Next time that heel comes into the buns, push the heel behind. Really open the hip, straighten the leg, point the toe, bring it around front. Last two. Last one. Good. Let's let that leg relax. We're going to use that push up again. That top arm pushes us up. This time, however, we're going to come into a plank. So we're going to turn ourselves all the way over. Let's come into the elbow or forearm plank. Elbows underneath the shoulders. We're going to extend through those legs. Toes are curled under. We're flexing the thighs, digging up the belly button, pulling up and in while keeping the shoulder blades down. Long neck. Option to stay here and hold, or little hip rotations side to side. So your left hip draws a little closer to the floor, pull in through the belly to set your plank, and then allow that right hip to shift towards the floor. So you have a little roll, side to side with the hip. Good. Keep those shoulders steady. Five seconds. Good, last one. Let's drop to the knees. Come back into a child's pose. Arms outstretched, big inhale, exhale. We're going to walk those hands towards the left side of the room, pushing out through our right rib cage, taking a stretch. And then walk our hands to the other side of the room, pushing out through that left rib cage, taking a stretch. Coming back through our center, tuck around and roll ourselves up into a cat or rounded back position. The navel drawn up towards the ceiling and our head just hanging. We take a breath. Stretching the abdomen, extending the spine. Our chest is pulling forward, opening it up. We'll release into a neutral back, and we're going to turn ourselves all the way over onto our back. Give ourselves a quick stretch here, rolling down. We're going to take our right foot, cross it over the left, and let's this time cross it all the way over. So all the way over. We end up with our knees fairly close together. Actually, that right thigh crossed over that left thigh, okay? Like we're sitting in a chair cross-legged. Okay. Draw the navel down to the floor to pick up those legs. Using our hands, we're going to grab our shins, okay? So they're actually grabbing opposite shins. We're grabbing our shins, our feet are flexed, and we're going to use those hands to pull the shins apart until we feel a stretch in our hip and our glute, okay? So it's a little pull of those crossed legs, keeping our low back firm and into the mat. We should really feel a deep hip and glute stretch there. Full inhale, exhale. We're going to release the tension from the hands, leaving our legs crossed like we're sitting in a chair, but we lower that foot down to the mat. We're going to come into a twist. So we're going to spread the arms out wide, Legs are still crossed over one another. Pull that low belly in and allow the knees to fall towards the left. Our head turns to the right. Palms turn up. We turn our head in the opposite direction. And we take a big enough inhale that our belly actually expands. It fills up. And a complete exhale where we empty the belly completely of breath. Let it all go. We'll bring the head into neutral. Turn the palms down. Engage the core to come back to center. Uncrossing the legs, recrossing with the other side. The left leg is over the right. We'll pick those legs up, grab the shins, flex feet, give them a pull towards the body. So that now we feel that left hip and glute stretch. We'll back off on the hands. Leave the legs crossed, but allow that right foot to come down to the mat, setting up for our twist. Secure the back. Allow the legs to fall slowly towards the right. Head turns left. Palms turn up. A couple of deep breaths. Head coming back into neutral. Palms down. Core braces as we roll back onto our back. Uncrossing the knees. We're giving them a big hug. Let's go underneath the knees. So we're holding on to our hamstrings here. And we'll take a little rock side to side, or maybe draw circles even on that low lumbar spine, whatever feels good down there. And then either rocking side to side and using a sideways push up to push you up to seated, or a front to back, tuck and roll up. Your choice. Once we come up to the top, we're going to stretch out that hip flexor, turning through all fours, and then taking our right leg forward of the body. Right foot comes out past the knee, allowing room for the hips to lean in forward to get into that hip flexor. Option here to flex the left foot, bending the knee, get a little more quadricep along with the hip. Let's release, shift our body weight back and switch legs. Easing into the stretch. Maybe bending that right knee. Good, let's release. Using those back toes, we curl them under to shift the knee forward and underneath the body for support. Left hand, left knee, right foot gets loose, rolls in, and then slowly one vertebra at a time, we work our way up to standing. Watch our feet for anything that might be in our way and cause us to trip. Setting feet hips distance, shoulders roll up, straight back, all the way down. We'll take one more like that. Good. Right ear out towards the shoulder, long neck. Good. Left side. Centering, turning and looking over the shoulder to continue to stretch the neck. Other direction. Good, in center. Let's take a big circle and a big inhale up. Good, hands on the hips, hips back. A slow tuck round and roll up to standing. Taking a shoulder roll at the top. Thank you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day.